We always think of, if you say, go back to the earliest art, you think of your cavemen. And then after that, you start thinking about your classics. You start thinking about your Egypts, your Greece. But before Greece, there were these other cultures surrounding the Mediterranean. They describe it as a cradle of civilization. Cradle of civilization. A lot going on. The ground would have been fertile. The travel would have been easier, especially around the water, providing easier routes of transport of things, and discoveries would have been happening in culture, and it would have seemed quite forward and progressive at the time. It would have seemed very modern, and this art was cropping up and occurring all over the place and becoming the style and form that we recognise today as classical. There was Assyrian art. Within a few centuries, Greek art proper would appear, along with Etruscan and later Roman art. In several of these regions, the emergence of cities, the use of written language, and the development of more sophisticated stone and metalworking made it possible to increase the type of art and quality of art produced. So the fact that we're all living together, we said this was settling, but now we're building up these bigger communities, these cities, and we've got these other processes going on, the stoneworking, the metalworking. As we said, they had these tools, they had these things in society now. They had people pouring metal, they had people making pots. They were starting to diversify into specific jobs, and at some point during this process, some people found an interest, not in the functional, not in the logical, but in the abstract, in the stories, in the creative, and they just went with it and were able to put designs. I mean, maybe there was somebody who made the vases, and maybe there was someone who painted them. Maybe there was someone who did the functional, and maybe there was a friend of theirs who enjoyed the abstract. I don't know, but they were given the free roam, it seems. They weren't. No one said, "Look, these are my pots. Leave them alone. Stop putting your funny doodles on them." They were celebrated and shared, and it was seen to be culturally positive, it seems. Really interesting, isn't it? Because nowadays, graffiti is a good example, I think. You have spaces in society, I feel, that should maybe be more beautiful, are maybe appropriate for art, like huge brick walls or concrete walls. And this is similar. These are functional items, probably quite expensive and valuable functional items, and they see it's important to decorate them. Neolithic art in China was followed by Chai dynasty culture, Shang dynasty art and Zhao dynasty art, which became famous for their bronzes. So we should do an episode on Chinese early art bronzes. Those three places. We've got Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, still to cover in Bronze Age. The examples of the Bronze Age art within the Mediterranean area include a wide range of painted ceramics, fresco murals. Our first frescoes. Not these frescoes, surely. Frescoes are really interesting because they were painted on, like plaster. Like if you break your arm and you have to plaster cast. So they'd be painted on a wet medium. The plaster itself would dry and you'd be painting, and not as simple as doing a mural these days with paints on a wall with undercoat. Because, of course, your surface is, what am I trying to say? Like the same thing as your paint. Your paint's water and your surface is water, and they can mix and move. A bit like watercolour. The art term fresco, Italian for fresh, describes the method of painting in which colour pigments are mixed solely with water, no binding agents, there's something I've learned, and then applied directly onto freshly laid lime plaster. Yeah, you see. The surface is plastered wall, the liquid paint is absorbed, and the plaster dries and the pigments are retained in the wall. So that's why they're talking about this now. So we're obviously now, fresco murals are happening because we're starting to use ceramics, we're starting to create plaster, we're starting to put a wet surface of lime across something and let it dry, and then it's solid, and we're decorating that. That's interesting. Landscapes, figurative pictures of humans and animals, religious relief and freestanding sculpture. At the moment, we've got carved figures, painted figures, pottery, jewellery, tools that have been adorned. One of them was a brooch or something like that, a fastener, so that's fashion, it's clothing. Have we got everything there? I think we've kind of got everything, haven't we? We haven't got video art, because video didn't exist. We haven't got music and all. We had flutes, so that implies there's music, so there is music. What other forms of artwork? The theatre, we know that came around in Greece, don't we, with our plays, so theatre is coming. We can imagine that there was a oral tradition of telling stories, and telling stories by the campfire would have involved some reenactment. So we've got that. I think at this point, even at this point, unless you can come up with another kind of artwork that I've not, that I'm missing, please, Bob. Unless there's another kind of artwork that I'm missing, I think we've got all even in this nascent early stages of humanity, as we're laying down the foundations for our first cities, we've already diversified into all of the arts, haven't we? Film is the only thing that we can't, because it doesn't exist. Digital art we can't do because it doesn't exist. But everything else, I mean, visual art, physical art, sculpture, painting, even fresco painting, so different forms of painting, different mediums of painting. We don't have canvases yet. We don't have paper. Papyrus starts in Egypt, so we're about to do that. So we do have that really kind of. We know there's music, like I said. Yeah, I think we've got all of the art by now. That's incredible, isn't it? That's incredible. All the different kinds of sensory experience that can be created through art. Even conceptual, the idea of art just being a transmitter for an idea, even that is available to them. Wood carving was common. There was paintings of gods, and a range of artistic tributes to kings and secular rulers were also seen. A particularly rare Bronze Age statue is the they're all rare, I'm telling you. Castrocouros. A chryselephantine. Chryselephantine. What is chryselephantine? In plastic art, the term chryselephantine, derived from the Greek words chrysos, chrysos, God, and elephantos. Slow down. The Greek words chrysos, gold. I can't say the word gold, probably gold, and elephantinos, ivory, describes a type of sculpture made from gold and ivory. Gold was for the drapery, ivory was for the flesh. It's a classical Greek sculpture, and their highest form of plastic art. Plastic art? Why plastic? Derived from the word plasticized, meaning to mould, and it describes any form which involves modelling or moulding in 3 dimensions. The most common example of the plastic arts is sculpture. That's my mind blown. Forget about your Nikes, forget about your Sky TV adverts. Plastic art has been going since pre-Greek culture, and plastic art just means to mould, just means to form it, to shape it, to mould it, from plasticize, which would have been around in Greek times, that word. And it's sculpture. It's any form of sculpture. The most common example is sculpture. They chip, carve, shape, or modulate a range of materials. And another type of plastic art is using clay, ceramic pottery, plastic. Anything that you can form and shape is plastic. Woodworking, that's plastic. Mosaics, they're plastic. Glass art, I love glass art. Can't wait to get up to glass art. I love glass art. And that's plastic. Ice sculpture is plastic, and so is sand art. So now you can really confuse people who won't understand what you're talking about by telling them that it's plastic, and they won't believe you, and it turns out that it is plastic. Wow. So we got those carved from a hippopotamus tooth. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at it. Copy. Let's have a look at this plastic art carved from a hippopotamus's tooth. You know what a hippopotamus is, don't you? That is carved from the tooth of a hippopotamus. It's carved from the hippopotamus. It's carved from the tooth of one of them. That don't seem right, does it? Look at it. I mean, it looks so modern. It looks French. It looks Art Deco. It's got modern images of aesthetic beauty, of like slim and upright humanity. This pose of like pride. Thousands of years ago, early plastic art carved from the tooth of a hippopotamus. It's got little gold. It's got little gold bracelets on. There's the addition of the gold. We don't know if the blackened marks are part of the aging, or if it was part of the artistic process itself. I imagine it. Look, it's been painted. It's been blackened the hair, so that is part of it. I mean, just incredible. Does the tooth go black over time, maybe? Would it have all been bright ivory initially? But wow. That's a lost Minoan god, apparently. The Palekastro-Kouros. Now we're seeing something new. A Minoan crystalelephantine statuette. Chryselephantine. It's made out of ivory. Chryselephantine. Wow. The Bronze Age. Coming into its own, isn't it, the Bronze Age? This is just the final paragraph now, and then I'll see if we can afford to buy something that's prehistoric, which I don't know if we can, to be honest. Bronze Age art in Europe is exemplified by megalithic art, like engravings and other petroglyphs. That's what I was saying as well. In Europe, we feel, I don't know, I feel that when you talk to me about my Bronze Age art or my Stone Age art, certainly Stone Age, it's these big rock, Stonehenge, you know, it's these things. But we've learned that it's not really about that, is it? It's also about ceramics, fresco. It's about carving wood and you know, that came out of the Stone Age. That's what came on next. And the Bronze Age itself is this explosion of all the arts, of pottery, of ceramics, of abstract, of creative, of gods and men and women and fertility. And as the Bronze Age came to an end, the history of art reveals a widening cultural gap between Northern and Mediterranean Europe. So Europe splits. The North and the Mediterranean have a divide culturally. You know, you've got your northern colder areas, your southern Mediterranean, you've got your Greek and your olives and your, you know, sunshine culture. And then you've got your northern cold animal furs and leading on to the Vikings at some stage. You know, that separation starts to happen. Climate, the presence of minerals and other precious metals, security, social cohesion. Social cohesion glue up your neighbourhood like a poster or a stencil. When you let the kid fight, you see the kid to get mental. The size of the fight inside the dog is incredible, and he's coming for the top dog spot, so better get the treats hot and get the seats hot for King Scott. Beheading all the haters like Joffrey. I'm sweet like the sweet sticky, dark like toffee, so don't test me. Social cohesion and trade were all factors which favoured faster economic development, which in turn led to a faster growth of the arts, especially painting and metalwork, in the regions of the south and along the principal European waterways like the Rhine and the Danube. So as the Bronze Age comes to an end, we've got these changing cultures, these gaps are starting to emerge between what was a more common humanity spreading out to being a more unique set of pockets of humanity that are settling. This is 1,000 years BC still. The climate, the different minerals, the fact that being together had its benefits, not fighting with each other made life better. That's a real basic one. Remember, they had these swords and these armor breastplates. They started to decorate them because they became less functional and more. They had more free time because they weren't doing so much fighting. Simply the concept that you would settle down and stop fighting with each other led to an explosion in artistic development and economic development. We had principal European waterways like the Rhine and the Danube providing a flow, not just of water, but of people, of trade, of ideas. And that is what happened. Put up your shields, engage spin deflectors. I can see disguises, hear lies like a detector. I'm smoking, the thing will start beeping. I'm not black, but the feds will still beat me. Like Phil Collins, I got them shaking. I told you I was dark like Vader in the making. Anakin damaging reputation of imperial establishment. Establishing new management, try me, I'm a lyrical man, true Jedi. Green to get high like Ben Kenobi. Like Sio, see I got it wrong. Green to get high like Ben Kenobi. Save me, they cry, I got the flow like Shinobi. Like Sio from the Emerald Isle. A purple haze, call me a voodoo child. No, I'm getting it wrong. That's for another time. So this is the internet, and these are prehistoric. Look, there's some Stone Age flint. 50 quid. 60 quid for a flint hand axe. I mean, is it real or is it just a Neolithic, open brackets, Neolithic, Moroccan Neolithic? Maybe we could go to Morocco and find them ourselves. Prehistoric antiquities for sale. Look at that, 20 quid. Now, I'm not wasting my money at the moment. I'm saving it at the moment. I'm not spending it on anything. Do you know what? I haven't had a can of Coca-Cola for, I was going to say a year, but we did actually. We had some in the, we do click and collect shopping at the moment because we're not going in the supermarket because of COVID. Trying to protect the life of my mom. And, yeah, I think we had Coca-Cola put on the order once this year. I've had can of Coke once this year, but I fancy, I'm not a promoter of Coca-Cola. I think it's terrible business and all that, but I fancy a nice cold drink, a nice soft drink. But I'm not going in a shop. I'm not going to go in the local one stop just to buy a can of Coke and risk the life of myself, my family, my neighbours. I'm not going to risk everything for a can of Coke, and I'm not prepared to do that. Haven't been all year, so I haven't had a can of Coke all year. And that's fine. That's what I'm saying is I'm going to save the money. Look, these are real. These are real. I mean, as real as you can believe off eBay. What do you think? Do you believe things on eBay? Well, that one's got a letter come with it. Should we believe them on eBay? Could I just get some flint and start shaping my own rocks and selling them? You'll have to tell me in chat what you believe about these things. That's a perfect British Neolithic stone bead. But is it just a bead from today that someone's carved? Viking brooch. Interesting. Red stone scarab beetle. But basically, what is interesting is that for under £25, we can buy a bit of rock, which may or may not be Well, I suppose the fact is the rock is old, isn't it? The rock is old. It can't be a new bit of rock. We haven't suddenly produced it in a factory. But is it shaped to be a flint scraper? Or has someone just got a new bit of, a bit of rock and just had it with the hammer? I don't know, but it would be interesting, wouldn't it, if we bought a piece of prehistoric art and then we're able to examine it more closely on stream. Because I've got an attachment for the camera that can macro. You can look really close. But at the moment, we're saving our money for the computer, so we're not going to splash it out on a bit of stone. But now that I know what I'm looking for, I will endeavour to pick up more rocks from my day-to-day walks. Yorkshire pudding, antique. Someone's selling an old Yorkshire pudding. They've signed up on the 10th of November 2020 so they could put that on there. Should we buy that for £1? No. Here's the answer. No. So we don't want any Yorkshire puddings. We're leaving the Yorkshire puddings. Just interesting, isn't it, that you could potentially buy a Neolithic axe. You just have to trust that's what it is. But now you know what you're looking for. When you look at the stones outside on the ground, maybe now we'll have a different... I'll start picking them up and checking them. I bet that person who was selling that Yorkshire pudding, I bet the Yorkshire pudding sales, I bet they haven't kept the Yorkshire pudding. I bet they put it on for a joke. And so if you were to buy it, they'd have to cook a new one. Wouldn't be a problem for them though, would it? Because they'd probably be able to do that. 3 tangled arrowheads. Look at them. Now they are old, aren't they? I suppose you can still age things by soaking them in acids and alkalines. Current bid is 14 quid. I mean, I don't know what the going rate for an ancient arrowhead should be. Look at that, Neolithic, genuine. They say it's genuine, so you should believe them. But it's only the size of your finger. That's incredible, isn't it? It's so small. I wonder if we could chip our own one viewed per hour. How many have they got? Makes me wonder, doesn't it? That you can buy 1, you can buy 2. So that makes me wonder if they're not just chipping away with their own. Look, they've got 36 of them. This is how I work. This is how I roll. Now what I want to do in my life is become a Neolithic arrowhead creator. I want to go now to the woods, pick up a load of stones and start creating mythic arrowheads. Mythic. Legendary. But maybe that's not the best use of my time. Maybe I'm better off staying on stream with you guys in the long run. You guys and gals. Guys is sexist. That's the patriarchy. I won't say that. I'll try and stop it. You don't need British gas. They can F off. Yeah. So we're not going to buy anything ancient. We're just amazed that you can. Look at these. It's £100. Plastic. We know now that that is plastic, even though it's not. Huh? What a great piece of knowledge to take away from us with us today is that we've learned that plastic art means anything that's moulded. It's not going to be useful to us because when we're talking, people are going to say, no, it's not plastic, it's terracotta. And you're going to say, no, plastic means that it's something that's moulded. And they're going to go, no, it doesn't. It means it's made out of plastic. And you're going to say, what? Plastic has its definition. Plastic has the word plastic in the definition, does it? You can't define things with themselves. And they're going to say, well, no, it means that it's a polymer made of, I don't know exactly how they make plastic. And you're going to say, well, it's bad, isn't it? If you don't even know how it's made and you're asserting to me that this definitely isn't it. And they're going to go, what? You're just being pedantic. And they're going to say, well, look, at the end of the day, I thought it was good that we learned something new, but you're telling me it's bad, so I might just shut up. Yeah, you should shut up. And then they poo-pooed us. And with that, my friends, yeah, can I stop being the patriarchy? I have real trouble with the patriarchy because I am part of it, aren't I? You know, I've got male parts and I was born into it. It was actually taught to me as a child as a positive. Be a tough man. You have to be the man of the house. look after your sister. These days, my sister looks after me because it turns out that she's strong, capable. You know, we look after each other. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it was taught to me when I was a kid. You know, were you taught somebody about plastic? Yeah, well, you know, we all teach things, don't we? Just we have to be aware of what we're teaching. You know, and spread bad messages around by accident, do you? Especially if you're around children. And when you're all around children, they could be watching this right now. So, you be good, my little puckos. I'm going to take my other little puckos. Just the dog, not the cat. If you took the cat to the woods and let him out, he would hate it. But the dog absolutely loves it. It goes running around with his little legs. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. You, and I'm talking to you, are my Ganji Puko warrior. And now I'm talking to all of you. You're my Ganji Puko warriors. We together are the Ganji Puko warriors. Ganji is a Korean word that means cool. And Puko is, I was told, a Finnish word. But I didn't know it was a Finnish word. It's my own word for my doggy. Doggy? Are you little puckos? And warriors, because we are the green warrior team. Maybe I should put green in there. I like the green. And we're going to change the world. We're going to make the world better as a group. You know, we're going to create ripples that affect things. It might be small ways. It might be little. Not like puckety. No, in England there's a word pucker. Pucker means good. It's like a London word. All right, mate, pucker, innit? Wicked, pucker. But I'm puckos. I've changed the A to an O. Pucko. Puckos. Puckos chonos. Chonos is also... you don't say normal words to your dog, do you? You say weird words like, puckos is a little pucko chona. So that's where it comes from. My little puckos chonos. Yeah, and we're going to create these ripples, and they might not be big, but they will ripple, and we will start making some differences. Now, first, you know, the first core of this is Mental Health Monday, somewhere together that we can share support and show the world that we are taking these things on, that we are not going to be bowed by them, that they're going to be burdens to us that we can carry, and in carrying them, we're going to become stronger. That's Mental Health Monday. We've also got this art history, which is this beautiful exploration, this learning, something new, something interesting. It's about humanity, and it's about the truth and the passion that's within us all. It's something we've learned. It's come from the earliest history, and we're going to see it ripple out into ongoing culture through our study and learning. But also, what we're doing is part of that. And so we are part of the ripple now. We're part of the wave. A ripple is going to become a wave. And then we're going to be surfing. So you be good, my little puckos. Get your swimming trunks ready. Get your Bermuda shorts. We're going surfing.